Welcome to Cord Cutting This Week, the podcast, episode number 20, recorded October 17th, 2019. This is the show where we dive into some of the biggest stories that have happened in the past week of cord cutting, and Jess and I fight about what it really means. So let's kind of get into it. Jess, how have you been this week?
Really good. And I just wanted to mention, I jumped into the Q&A last night just to see the YouTube play button that you unboxed.
Yeah, for people listening to us watching this on YouTube, if you're listening to a podcast, it's on the video over at YouTube. But here it is,
Yay!
the play button. I really like this new play button that compared to the old one. I don't know if you've seen any of the old ones, but this new one is really nice, and it's quite the mirror shininess.
Yeah, super shiny.
So thank you to Jess. Thank you to everybody. Is there a scratch on this? No. I thank you to everybody who has subscribed and watches this show every week. We often see people come in week after week, day after day, commenting on the videos and stuff. Really appreciate it. And thank you to just everybody who watches these videos. I really do appreciate that from everybody. So what else has been happening? Any favorite news stories of the past week? Jess?
There's been so much happening, and I've really been diving into some of these more in-depth stories where we do guides about different streaming services and things, so I've really been enjoying that. But what about you?
Yeah, it's been a lot of hardware on my end. I've been breaking down some of the new devices on YouTube. I actually kind of see it behind me here on the video. I have the Roku soundbar and the Walmart version of their new soundbar. That's coming up soon, where we'll have a little head-to-head, because they're slightly, even though they're basically the same, they are slightly different on some of the specs with it. So look for more of those videos coming up. But if you're listening to this, don't forget we have a giveaway right now. One of those new Rokus could be yours, because we have a 2019 Roku Ultra we're giving away and a $100 Netflix gift card we're going to be giving away. So if you want to enter to win one of these two prizes, check out the show notes down below after we're done live. I'll be adding it there. Or you can just go over to cordcarsnews.com. There's a red banner across the top and click on the giveaway right there. So many ways to enter for a chance to win. You don't have to do all of them, but the more you do, the more chances you have to win. All right, so should we get into the news?
Yeah, let's do it. We have a lot to cover today.
All right. Are you ready for some more hidden price hikes from Comcast? Because that's what's happening right now. And Comcast recently has done a few things. First of all, they moved the Turner Classic Movie package or channel to the sports package, because when I think sports, I think classic black and white movies from Turner Classic Movies. And they have also, this recently happened, as we said it would, they have removed stars from their premium Xfinity Premier package and replaced it with Epics. And now stars cost $12 a month if you're a member of that package, if you still want to keep your stars access. Now, we reported both of these would happen back in August, and so far everything's happened except for one thing that was included in our August post, and that was that they would be removing the music channels from Comcast cable packages and replace them with radio channels available on the Xfinity Comcast app. So if you wanted to listen to music as part of your cable subscription, you're going to need the app now going forward. So why do we call this a hidden fee? Because they're removing channels, moving things around, but they're not lowering your cost. Let's be honest, Stars is a much more desirable channel for many people than Epics. I believe I saw that they have far more subscriber numbers. And then you look at like Turner Classic Movies. For all the loyal fans of Turner Classic Movies, you now have to go get a sports package for $10 a month to get it. And that allows the Comcast to market these packages at the same price, but they make more money from them because there's, in case of Stars, less, and with the TMC, there's less content there. So Jess, are you a Turner Classic Movie fan?
I'm not so much, but I do know that a lot of our readers are, and I'm just out here to advocate for our readers. I know this is something that people are not happy about, and my question is, how does this make any sense, adding this Turner Classic Movie channel to a sports package? We were talking on Twitter about this, and I just said this is one of the weirder things that I've seen lately with all of this shuffling.
Well, I mean, in fairness, they added the word entertainment. It's all the sports and entertainment package.
Okay.
I mean, that, yeah,
Sure.
because everybody who watches football wants to watch classic movies, and everybody
Sure.
who watches classic movies wants to watch more sports. That just,
Truly, they go hand in hand.
no question. Now, the good news is if you are a Comcast customer, Sling TV will give you TMC, TCM. I said TMC, sorry, TCM, for just $30 a month plus tax. And it's available on pretty much every, I think, major streaming service out there right now.
Mhm.
So highly recommend if you're a Comcast customer, you call Comcast, you said, goodbye. I'm not paying you an extra $10 a month when I can go get that through a streaming service and get all the other channels I want a lot cheaper.
Yeah, and Stars and Xfinity, of course, are both blaming each other for all of this. They're both releasing statements saying, oh, they're being unreasonable. No, they're being unreasonable. And really, it's the subscribers that are suffering in the end.
I kind of feel like I'm in high school, right?
Yes.
This is like you're sitting in the lunchroom or in study hall, and the cute couple that always sat next to each other, and we're always like all over and just that high school puppy love. Suddenly you're like, oh no, they're like the devil, and I don't even want to see them. Doesn't it feel like that a little bit? Because the statements were rather aggressive towards each other, I felt.
They really were, yeah. And I wrote a post about this yesterday and tried to be fair and give both sides of the story. I posted what Xfinity had on their blog post, and then Stars sent over a statement, and we put in both so everyone can sort of form their own judgments about that.
And I get this to a point, right? Comcast wants to save money, and Stars wants money. But at the same time, when you remove a channel and you put lesser channels in, and I love Epics, but it's, from talking to our readers, they consider it a lesser channel. I kind of enjoy a lot what's on Epics. My wife prefers Stars. I think it's a personal opinion kind of thing. But when you completely remove the Turner Classic Movie channel and you don't replace it with anything, that's definitely going to upset people.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And since the price didn't go down, a lot of people were very unhappy about that.
we're going to be learning soon about subscriber losses. I'm going to be very interested to see how this happens. Typically, this is a decent quarter for cable companies because people have moved over the summer. A lot of moves happen in the summer. People are like, fall TV's coming up, I want it. What are the subscriber losses going to look like this quarter? And we won't know if this will have an impact on Comcast until in January, February time when they report their numbers for the fourth quarter. But I got a feeling that we're going to see a substantial decline because there really is a good number of people out there that are like, hey, I consider a streaming service just as legitimate of an option as cable.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting. I'm going to be watching that very closely. Of course, we'll have that over
definitely.
at corecarsnews.com. So I don't know, Jess, any last thoughts on the decline of Comcast, we'll call it?
No, but I, like you, am interested to see how this affects the numbers. I love some good data, so I'm looking forward to getting those emails.
Yeah, it'll be fun. But speaking of data, we got some information about Netflix from their earnings call yesterday. Jess, what did we learn?
Yeah, so yesterday Netflix released their earnings for quarter 3, and then later on in the day they did their earnings call where they went more in depth with some of this. So in that release we learned that Netflix has gone above $5.2 billion in revenue and also has topped 158 million subscribers. So they actually did better than a lot of the projections have been showing in the last few days. I know Wall Street Journal and I think New York Times both had those numbers lower. So great job, Netflix. And also, whenever they did the call, they had some interesting things to say about the future of Netflix. So one of those was that they want to push back on password sharing. And this is something that on our Cord Cutting Tech Support Facebook page, the debate is heated. People have a lot to say about this crackdown on password sharing. So during this call, Netflix execs said that they are monitoring password sharing and they're looking at, quote, consumer-friendly ways to crack down on it. So we're not sure what that means. We're not sure how strict it'll be. We're not sure what kind of rules they're going to put in place, how they will crack down on this. but that's what they said during the call. And then one more quick thing that I wanted to mention that you also talked about in your post about this is that Netflix talked about the difference between releasing shows all at once and going weekly. So something that Disney and Apple have both talked about is releasing shows one episode per week, just to keep people interested and keep them subscribed. Netflix came back and said, we have much more luck whenever we release a series all at once. Binge watching works for us, and we're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, one of the things that really stood out to me, so they made $5.2 billion in revenue. Crazy. Mm-hmm. There are major companies in the United States that would kill for that.
Yes.
Their income was $1 billion, so they've topped $1 billion in income, which is, for all the talk of Netflix's demise at the hands of Disney Plus and HBO Max and all these others out there, they have $1 billion in income in just 3 months. That's a lot of money. Netflix is not going to be bullied by Disney. I think we're at a point where Disney and Disney and HBO Max can definitely do damage to Netflix. I don't think anybody can kill Netflix at this point, except for Netflix. Does that make sense? I think Netflix at this point would have to make some major mistakes on their own when you're making $1 billion in income in just 3 months.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that was interesting to me, whenever I was reading through this Q3 report, they named names. They said, we know that Disney is coming out with this. We know that Apple TV Plus is coming out. We see Peacock and HBO Max. We know that this is all coming, but we're not scared. And they said, we made a lot of money and we're investing that in original content. We know that's where we really shine, and we're just going to keep doing our thing.
It kind of feels like maybe a game of King of the Hill, right? Here's Netflix at the top of the hill, like, come and get me.
Yeah, I dare you.
And you can see Disney Plus and HBO Max and Peacock and Apple TV Plus kind of come up the hill like, okay, let's go see how this works out for us as we come against the giant at the top of the hill right now.
But do you think that anyone can touch them, or do you think that Netflix will stay on top?
I think Netflix is not going anywhere anytime soon. Now, with that said, the King of the Hill game doesn't mean there's only one person up there. It very well may be that we end up with Amazon, Hulu, Disney Plus, HBO Max, etc., joining them. The question is, which one of those services is not going to get up there? Because I don't think all of them will. I don't think all these services will be as successful as they hope.
I agree. What I'm really interested in is to see which strategy works best. So Apple is really committed to quality over quantity. And then Disney is really throwing out just everything that they have and seeing how well it can go. So I'm really interested to see what tactic is going to work out for who and how this will all shake out.
Yeah, I am very interested to see the different play here. Now, I don't think we know enough to try to do this. We won't know more about HBO Max until later this month. Apple TV Plus, I'm actually not completely sure we know everything about it. Would not be surprised that here in a couple weeks on November 1st, when that rolls out, that there will be some additional feature or service out there that we didn't know about that will suddenly come to light. Maybe some additional back content catalog. Maybe they'll strike a deal. Who knows? Maybe they go buy Epix or Stars. Lionsgate, part of their ownership's up for sale right now. So I'm going to hold off judgment. But as it stands right now, I think it's going to be interesting. Will enough people want to pay for Apple TV Plus with the limited amount of content? With that said, though, if you buy any new Apple products, you get a free year of Apple TV Plus right now. That may give Apple enough time to build their catalog of content to justify that cost. Even at $4.99, if you have less than 10 shows on it at launch, that's still a pretty tough hill to cover when for an extra $2, Disney Plus will give you way more content.
Yeah, and this was something that you talked about in the Q&A last night, and I mentioned in the comments there. I have a post ready to go. So right after Apple launches, I will let everybody know how to get their free year if you've bought an Apple device. So if you bought one anytime after September 10th, you're eligible for the free year. Nice.
Yeah, there's so much here to look at, and there's so much here to do. Really, anything could happen, because here is what I think is most likely. I think these services are not going to kill each other before they kill off at least a couple of these premium TV channels. So, Jess, here's the question for you. Stars, Epix, Showtime, HBO, Cinemax. Which one or which services would you think are most likely to fold as we deal with the growth of these independent Peacock, HBO Max, etc.?
I feel like when we talk about premium channels, we name the big ones first. So HBO, Showtime, Starz, Cinemax. I feel like Epix is the one that tends to get left out of the conversation. So I would guess that somebody will buy Epix, have that catalog of content, and add it to a streaming service. So I could see Epix being the one to go down. What about you?
Definitely see Epix going down. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Cinemax goes down either. If I could very well see AT&T rolling Cinemax into HBO Max and just kind of say, we don't really need to have two premium. We got HBO where all the best stuff will go there. If you enjoyed the Cinemax stuff, come get HBO Max. So I could see that. And I could see Starz having a rough road ahead of it. I don't think it may go down in the first round, but of the second tier channels where I'm like, okay, after one or two of these services fail, who's most likely to fail after that? And it could be Starz, but they have a few original programs that are really doing well. So we'll wait and see.
Yeah, I think they would be in a good position to get bought out by someone else and go onto a streaming service also.
Now, Sky threw in the movie channel. There's a channel that we don't really talk about much, but you're right. There are other smaller channels out there that will fold. And one other thought here. HBO Family, HBO whatever, all those other Showtime, all those small side networks. How long until those start folding up where they're just like, hey, we're going to roll one or two of those back into the main one? Because typically, just like, hey, all that content will be available on their streaming version. If you want to go watch that on demand, you can do that. And it's often just repeats of what's on the main channel.
Yeah, I think it would make so much sense for everybody to do some consolidating and just simplify things. I think that's what we're all kind of looking for right now, is a little bit of simplification.
Definitely. But speaking of simplification, are you ready for some more lawsuits out there?
Yes, love a good lawsuit.
Dish is threatening more lawsuits against IPTV subscribers and resellers. So we broke this news over the summer that Dish has a whole organization of lawyers that probably are on, they're probably on salary, so they only gonna have to pay them extra to do this, who have been going after satellite sellers, people out there who are going and offering these cable boxes that would get Dish satellite really cheap. Now they're taking those lawyers and chasing after IPTV services, IPTV resellers, and IPTV customers. Over the weekend, we heard from several of our readers who got warning letters from Dish's Niagara Star, is what they're called. It's a joint venture between Dish and Bell in Canada that says, hey, you subscribe to an IPTV service. If you pay this fine, we won't go after you. If we don't hear back from you, we may take legal action. So, AKA, we'll sue you. And what I thought was most interesting here was that it seems that some of these IPTV sellers or companies have either been ordered by the court to hand over their PayPal records or willingly did it to try to get a lighter buyout or deal to address this issue. So, because in these letters was copies of their PayPal transactions. So I thought that was very interesting. That this is what we've heard was probably going to happen for a while. That Dish was going after PayPal records and more. Some people asked, "Oh, why is PayPal just accessing that or handing that over to Dish?" I don't think PayPal just did it. I think either, from the looks of it, either the resellers or the actual IPTV service did it in order to get a lighter sentence or a lighter lawsuit settlement, or the court, which we've heard a couple of these recently, have ordered companies like PayPal to hand over this information to Dish and others as part of a lawsuit. So keep a close eye on this. I think we haven't seen the end of it. A couple big ones are currently being targeted by Dish, including Simply TV and Vader, which when they were shut down were both some of the largest IPTV services here in the United States. We'll see what happens with that. But just a warning, some of these go back, some of these PayPal transactions were from years ago. and are only now catching up to the people who did them.
Yeah, we always say just be careful who you're giving your information to, be careful who you're sending your money to, and just make sure everything's on the up and up.
Yeah. And this is probably just the start of a massive crackdown. We've heard a lot about this. We've heard for a long time that they've been getting early judgments in cases they thought they could easily win. And now that they got those, now that they've earned the early wins, they're using that to go full speed ahead to attack other companies or other places out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, I don't think that there's any sign of them slowing down on this. I think that they're just going to keep going until they can get all the big ones.
Well, Jess, if you're looking for free content, there is a service that for now is legal. It's facing some more lawsuits, but what's Locast up to?
You took the words right out of my mouth. I actually have a note here that says free and legal for now, maybe. We'll see. But Locast, yes, is free and legal. It is a service that is expanding now to Atlanta and Phoenix. Those are the two new cities being added. So for those who don't know, Locast is a free live TV streaming service, that offers local channels. It was started by a nonprofit, so it's by donation only. But a warning, if you use Locast, you will get notifications asking for a donation pretty frequently. So they offer channels including ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox. However, those who have been listening for a while will know that those networks were also the ones that sued Locast this summer. They sued because they said that Locast did not have the rights to stream this content for free. Locast came back saying, we're a nonprofit and you can't touch us and people have a right to these channels. So that was their defense. This is still going on. We still don't know for sure what's going to happen with Locast, but they are now in 15 markets. And just one note, it looks like they're in Atlanta as of today, but it looks like Phoenix won't be added until tomorrow.
We can we'll add that a little bit to the story. Yeah, it's very interesting to see this back and forth, right? And it clearly at both sides, Locast is digging in and the broadcasters are digging in for this to be a long lawsuit. So we had a similar case with Aereo. The difference with Aereo is they were a for-profit company selling subscriptions, and that seemed to be the downfall of their free rebroadcasting of over-the-air TV. The difference here is Locast is a nonprofit, and there is a section in the TV laws from the FCC, Congress, all that says that nonprofits can basically do this as long as they're not doing it for commercial gain. And that's going to be an interesting catch there. Is Locast a true nonprofit not doing this for commercial gain? And I think, I think the lawsuit here from ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC, etc., is completely dependent on proving that basically Locast is a for-profit company, not a nonprofit. So we'll see what happens. So
the way that they were talking about this, I believe the name of the nonprofit is Sports Coalition Network. Does that sound right to you?
That is about right.
So the networks, the representative for the networks came back and said, yes, that is a nonprofit. However, they're sort of funneling money in different places, and it's very iffy about where all the money is going. And they even talked about how much money the CEO is making. So there's a lot of question about whether or not this nonprofit is legitimate or if they're just sort of using it as a workaround to get these channels.
The idea that, the CEO makes money, it can't be a nonprofit, just can't hold up, because there are hundreds of thousands of nonprofits around the world, probably. Thousands and thousands of them have very well-paid CEOs. And Locast could just say, hey, look at all these other nonprofits of major charities, well-known organizations. If you take away our nonprofit status, would, the March for Dimes and all, or whatever it is out there, would all these nonprofits lose their nonprofit status too? And they argue, and it's the same argument, hey, we want to attract the best leadership to our company. These are people who could go get a job at GM or at NBC or wherever and get a lot of money. We need to pay them a competitive salary to attract them from these major for-profit companies. So far, that has completely held up. That, you can pay your employees and pay them a competitive wage, and they consider very well-paid CEOs a competitive wage. and still be a nonprofit. So I think there's a bigger implication here. If the courts rule that Locast is not a nonprofit just because they pay their companies well, or whatever with the money, keep a close eye on all these other nonprofits around the country, because we may suddenly lose a ton of great nonprofits to unintended consequences here.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see how this is playing out. And I do see both sides of this, where one side is saying you can't just take this for free under the guise of being a nonprofit, where Locast is saying, well, people deserve to have these channels. We're just offering a service. So I do see both sides of this, but I'm interested to see how it plays out. I think this lawsuit's going to go on for quite a while.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. I got a feeling a year from now we may still be talking about this. Maybe we'll have a first judgment. This has the feeling of one of those cases that no matter what happens early on, this is going to the Supreme Court, and we may not know for 4 more years, kind of thing.
But in the meantime, Locast is not slowing down. They have plans to keep expanding into new markets, so be on the lookout if you are interested in Locast.
Yeah, real quick, an interesting note there. Many had wondered if they would stop expansion until they finished the lawsuit. But so far, no. They're continuing full speed ahead with expanding and fighting the lawsuit. So let's jump from Locast to Sling TV, a service that has in the past suggested Locast as a way to get locals. Mm-hmm. Sling TV is adding free content to their Fire TV and Android apps, which includes Android TV, even if you're not a subscriber. This comes along with a new search feature and some different other additions that they've rolled out to their new app. But this week, Sling TV updated their app to bring free movies and television shows, the ability to buy pay-per-view events and movies, and to subscribe to a la carte services through the Sling TV app on Android and the Fire TV, even if you're not a subscriber. If you're a Roku owner, you've had this ability for some time. Sadly, it's not available on the Apple TV at this time. Hopefully it comes soon. But this allows you to go in there, watch free movies and television shows, similar to what Vudu and Amazon do, where you get a collection of ad-supported movies and television shows. You can buy pay-per-view events, so if you're a cord cutter looking for a way to get pay-per-view events, Sling TV says, hey, we'll sell them to you even if you're not a cable subscriber. And Sling TV also has a bunch of services like Showtime, Stars, Up Family and Friends, Hallmark Movies Now, and more, which you can use your Sling TV account, even if you're not paying Sling TV customer, to subscribe to. So a pretty cool lineup of features here, and it brings competition. I love that there's more competition in the free market, more competition in places to get places to get prepaid, and a la carte services all managed through a single login. So have you played around with any of this yet, Jess?
I have not. It's been really interesting, though. I feel like since the summer, Sling has really been doing a lot to just add little bits and pieces of things to make them a more attractive option for cord cutters. And adding this free content to give people a little sneak peek into certain shows and networks, I think is such a smart idea. It's kind of taking a free trial to a new level. I think that's a great way to draw people in.
Yeah, it's definitely an effort to say, hey, we want you to come here and use the Sling TV app, right? And then hopefully you'll also subscribe to us. And it's very much the Vudu model. Like, hey, watch some free movies on Vudu, and then please buy a movie on Vudu too. Mm-hmm. Or Amazon's kind of got into this. And I actually absolutely love this. I love the idea that, hey, we have all this content. Why not offer it to our end customers here for free with ads, and then let them use our app and experience it and say, hey, this is a great app. Why not come and use it more often or use our service?
Yeah, and I think they're doing a really great job of just offering more features and things too. I feel like Sling kind of is under the radar sometimes, but they're really doing a lot to make sure that they are just a really good option.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that. Sometimes they're not making as much noise as they used to in the room, but we'll find out this is still true here in a few weeks. But they are, as of right now, the largest live TV subscription service for cord cutters, with over 2.2 million subscribers in the United States.
That's awesome. And I think that it's really their price point too that's helping them a lot. It's a very affordable option for a lot of people.
Definitely. I think that's a big help. Being early is a big help. They were the first one to really go nationwide with the service. and it's a pretty nice offering of content there. So keeping a close eye on it, but maybe their growth and maybe the growth of things like Sling TV has to do with the fact that AT&T and others have been raising the prices again. And this, yeah,
I laugh because I have a lot of opinions about this one.
Well, let's quickly jump in there, Jess. What is AT&T doing?
Well, glad you asked. AT&T is raising the price of UVerse TV for the second time in 12 months. This price increase is going to affect UVerse TV customers as well as AT&T phone and AT&T internet customers. So in a letter to specifically UVerse TV customers, AT&T said that effective October 1st, the AT&T cost assessment charge will go up from 2.92% to 7%. And the purpose of it is to recover AT&T property taxes. So, Luke, as you pointed out in your post about this, with an average TV customer's bill at $107 a month average, customers could be paying $16 a month more now than they were at this time in 2018. So if you are someone who bundles your TV, internet, and phone services through AT&T, the cost could be even higher. The problem with this, which you also pointed out in your post, is that they can still promote their base services as having a lower cost because this is one of those kind of hidden fees. This is like a service charge that they tack on at the end, so they don't have to disclose it when they're giving their upfront prices. Pretty sneaky AT&T.
Yeah, and it's a massive jump. I think a few years ago this new fee was added and was under 2% at the time. And now has jumped up all the ways to be over, I think it's over, my brain just fried, almost 7%. I wanted to say there was another market that was higher, but maybe 7% is the highest. It does vary slightly depending on where you live. AT&T did reach out to us with a little bit more information. They said this is only going to be affecting business customers right now, kind of one of those things, or like this could always be rolled out to consumers later. But I find this funny because we talk about this often. I go to a restaurant and I see a price on a steak. And it's like, okay, $20 steak, okay. And I get the bill. It doesn't say, steak fee, gas charge to get it there, cook fee charge. Though somebody did tell me in California they're adding a automatic tip for the cooks and stuff to your bill. So maybe California's just weird. But you don't see and here's a line for our property tax. You have to help us pay our property tax. Usually that kind of stuff is just rolled into the cost of the service where you come and say, hey, this, you pay for this, this is your fee, and we'll figure out the cost of our doing business later.
Right. Calling this all a cost assessment charge is what really got me because they're not specific. This is just a very vague term where they can kind of throw everything under this cost assessment charge and sort of charge whatever they want.
Yeah, I'm not very happy about this, to be honest with you. I just think this is a bad precedent, maybe because I own a business here at Core Cars News. But I do feel like they are unfairly trying to pass along hidden price hikes. We talked about Comcast doing hidden price hikes. This is a hidden price hike because they can advertise a price and already know that that price is going to be 7% higher just because of this one fee right there.
Now, to AT&T's defense, they did write us a note and say, we warned our customers about this. Everybody knows this is happening, so we aren't hiding anything. The thing is, they kind of are because new customers will see this base price. They won't know about all these extra charges getting tacked on.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting, and it's kind of another one of those things, fees and taxes apply in really small print. You have to go somewhere else to see them. And I consider this a hidden fee, hidden tax.
Absolutely.
All right. Anything else you want to add here, Jess?
No, I'm all done ranting about AT&T for today.
Well, let's take a look at this brand new Nvidia Shield here. Let me see here. I can make this full screen if you're watching the video. This is the brand new Nvidia Shield that briefly appeared on YouTube earlier, or on Amazon, earlier today. A few cool things if you're watching the video. It is a brand new remote. It has a lost remote finder feature on it. So you press a button and it makes your remote make a noise, something that Roku's been doing for a while with the Ultra that I absolutely love. Does add quick launch buttons to the Nvidia Shield remote. where now you press the Netflix button and it automatically launches Netflix. And it is moving away. The previous version had like one of those round watch batteries in it, and the first generation Nvidia Shield had one of those rechargeable remotes where you plugged it into a micro USB to charge it. This new remote has has two AAA batteries, so much more like a Fire TV or Roku remote when it comes to powering it. A few other details here: 3 gigabytes of RAM, 16 gigabytes internal storage, a new Tegra X1 processor, 2 USB ports for additional storage or other devices, Dolby Vision HDR 4K, along with Dolby Atmos sound. There will be a new controller, which we kind of expected because GameStop recently put their Nvidia Shield controllers on clearance. I think some in stores are as cheap right now as $5. If you can get to a GameStop, you may find some really good deals on Nvidia Shield products. Of course, they could be sold out. You may want to call first before you drive out there. Amazon listed the price at $199.99, and this was first spotted and tweeted by Android TV Rumors, is a Twitter account that kind of follows all things Android TV. So keep a close eye on that over there. Now, the interesting thing about this is we've been kind of wondering if the new Nvidia Shield would come out in January with CES, because Nvidia typically launches new products at CES in January. But with this being on Amazon already, and it looked like a completely fully listed, ready to go listing, made some people wonder if that will come out before Christmas. Now, we've had this happen before, where a product like this will show up on Best Buy or will show up on Amazon, and then it actually is a few months still before it launches. So just because it went live doesn't mean it's launching this week or even next week. So keep that in mind. But this does make it with GameStop, this far before the Christmas season, doing clearance sales on some Nvidia Shield products and the Amazon listing there. I'm going to move my prediction from CES to a pre-Christmas release so they can sell it for the Christmas buying season. What do you think, Jess?
Yeah, I think you're spot on about that. And we saw this last week too with another product. It seems like companies are kind of trying to get in on that Christmas sale money. So I think it's smart. I think it makes a lot of sense. We looked at this last week. It was with the Roku Wi-Fi extender. That was the product we talked about last week, maybe coming out before Christmas. I think it's really smart for companies to do this because something like this, it's a little bit of an investment, and I think people have an easier time putting the money in for something for the holiday season. So I think it would be a smart move for Nvidia if they did that.
Yeah, we'll keep a close eye on this and watch it, but I'm excited. We haven't had a real high-end Android TV device focus on cord cutters. Now, we've had some great ones. The new Nvidia Shield, Sling TV Air TV is a great new product coming out targeting cord cutters. A little limited though, because a lot of people tie that to Sling TV and don't really think about it. We had the Jetstream box come out Walmart within the last year, but that's kind of a lower end Android TV device. We've had some built-in TVs with Android TV, but mostly Android TV has been a cable box OS, and Google has seemed to focus on that. I was very disappointed to see Google had their big event and absolutely no mention of Chromecast and no mention of Android TV at the big new hardware event. And that was a real disappointment when they had that huge presentation. Not even a mention of Chromecast, not even a mention of Android TV. But thankfully, it doesn't look like it's dead yet, as Nvidia is still being the flagship product for the Android TV line with this new device.
Yeah, and it looks great. And I know that our readers, the ones who use the Nvidia Shield, really, really love it. They swear by it.
The only thing I kind of notice is, and I have to get my hands on this, I really hate to see this until I can play with it. The remote doesn't look quite as high quality. The first two generations were all metal, and they had like touch sensors on the very first generation for the volume, and just a really nice, like I touch this and this feels high quality. Mm-hmm. This new one looks like plastic. And I'll be interested to see for $200 if the touch and feel of it matches up. Because I don't think most cord cutters care about the gaming capabilities of the Nvidia Shield. I think they're caring about for a really powerful, really high quality streaming player. And for $200, people want the remote to also be really high quality.
Yeah, especially whenever you look at Roku coming out with their new remote with the programmable buttons and things. I think people are really wanting a good quality product there.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been very happy. I got the Nvidia Shield second generation game controller right here. I like it. It's a little weird, but it's a really good game controller. So I'm interested to see if the new game controller and the new remote meets my expectations that the earlier generations have created. That, hey, this feels good. It works really well. The remote feels good. And it looks nice, right? I lay this on the end table in my house, and it's like, ooh, I have a high-class, expensive-looking remote. So, I think when you start asking $200 for a streaming player, people's expectations are a lot higher
Absolutely.
than $100 or cheaper streaming player.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. So, yeah, I'm interested to see it. I've never actually used a Nvidia Shield before, so I'm interested to try one out.
Perfect. Well, Jess, do you have 2 questions for me real quick?
I sure do. I know we need to get going, so I will choose 2 of the quick ones.
Okay.
So first, since we talked about IPTV services today, we got a question on our Facebook page, a private message. So I won't read the person's name, but they said there are tons of IPTV streaming services. Surely they can't all be illegal. Is there any legal IPTV service?
Sling TV, DirecTV Now, or excuse me, AT&T TV Now, PlayStation View, YouTube TV, etc. The big name ones are all, of course, legal that we listed there. And I guess my word of thumb here is if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
All right. And then this is kind of a fun one. Somebody wanted to know if you have any podcast recommendations.
If you like football, The Solid Verbal is a great college football podcast. Highly, highly recommend it. Of course, Tom Merritt and Brian Brushwood podcasts are awesome. And anything from Twit. I've been always enjoyed Leo Laporte and everything he does over there. Huge respect for all their hard work there. So check those out. Those would be my quick recommendations.
So speaking of recommendations, what are you watching this week?
Oh boy, I've been completely sold into sports, football and baseball this week. I haven't been able to watch anything else. So I'm going to say, if you haven't yet experienced it, if you're planning to watch the World Series, the Fox Sports app will, if you authenticate it with a pay TV provider, including streaming services that offer Fox, will stream the games in 4K for you. Fubo TV will also stream it in 4K, so check those out if you want to watch the World Series next week.
Awesome. My recommendation is another show on Netflix. It's called Unbelievable. It's a limited series. Just a warning, it is a little hard to watch. It's about, it follows a girl who has been sexually assaulted, and it follows the 2 detectives who crack the case and track this guy down. So the first episode especially, very, very hard to watch, but it's a great story based on true events, and I highly recommend it.
All right. Well, I hope everybody had a fantastic week. If you're listening to this on audio, remember we record this live at 1 p.m. Eastern every Thursday on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CourtCarsNews. So I hope you all have a fantastic day. Take care, everybody, and thank you for your support.